a while, Aparna's husband, Akshata's little brother, Rohan Narayana Murty's son, the founder of Sirocco, and the founder of the Murty Classical Library of India when you were only 26 years old. I think he's a bit of an underachiever, but let's get on with the program. So we're all here to listen to George and Rohan and to listen to some lovely music. George, will you please get us started?
Good evening, everybody. How wonderful to see a room full of people. Everybody busy, everybody taking time out to come and to celebrate. Books from a long, long time ago. At least in the Indian context, that's not as common. So there's no Twitter, no business question, no competition, no decision. Well, I'll take the last part back. Sorry. Let's go pretty soon. But thank you everyone for coming today. Thank you in particular to Rohan Murty. It's a real honor and thrill now to have you here and to celebrate these books. A few years ago, my 11-year-old niece Anushka, I was introducing this project to her. And at the time, she said, you know, but Rohan, why do these classics, these books that you say, why do they really matter? I don't have the erudition or the scholarship of the classics. I can't speak the way George speaks, or as many of our scholars speak. So I said, look, my simplest explanation is that this is humanity's greatest time machine. And she asked, why have they time machines? And I said, look, very simply, they let us hear voices from 3,000 years ago, as if these voices spoke to us yesterday. In some sense, it's not like how Einstein described space-time. He said, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. I think George alluded to this same idea. And the classics echo this very sentiment. They collapse the boundaries of time, proving that what is ancient, modern, and eternal were all part of the same continuum. And so, through these books, what you will witness is human drama is universal. It's just as messy now as it was back then. If you don't believe me, you should read Narayana. One of the oldest poetry written by a living that is still accessible to humankind from about 200 BC. Right, General? So how have these time machines fared over the last decade? By the end of this year, 2025, by the end of our 10th year, we will have published 50 volumes, spanning 14 different languages, and roughly over about 2,500 years of Indian literary tradition. The 14 languages that we will have covered by then will be Upper Pramsha, Bangla, Hindi, Kannada, Marathi, Pali, Punjabi, Persian, Prakrit, Sanskrit, Sindhi, Telugu, and Urdu. Now that is incredible range and diversity that speaks to our society and our history. And of course, this accomplishment in this sense of progress is thanks entirely because of nearly 50 to 60 scholars from around the world. When we talk about translations, these translations are not done by hobbyists. Professor Indra Peterson, of course, is a scholar, she's a professor, she teaches students, she's worked on various languages for her whole life. Professor Namhat Lakshmanathan, who is here, has worked on Kannada for at least 50 years, if not longer, and that's true for all our scholars. One of our most well-known translators, Professor David Schumann at Hebrew University, has worked on this his whole career, as have pretty much all the others. And so the scholars who've been involved in this project over the last 10 years, just to give you a sense of the diversity of the scholars themselves, come from the following countries: Israel, Canada, United States, United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, France, Netherlands, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Spain, and of course, India. These works transcend time and space, representing the richness of the literary heritage that covers approximately 6.8 million kilometers, about 2,500 years of history. We also created, as Sharmila mentioned, an open source, the first unified family of Indian fonts. That's the Murty family, which supports Bangla, Devanagari, that's versions of Devanagari, Kannada, Sanskrit, Telugu, and more. At least to last count, today over 80 universities worldwide, including my own alma mater institutions, Harvard, MIT, and Cornell, use these books in their classrooms. In fact, my joke is that we are at this point competing with Halliday and Resnick and some of these other books where, then it's very serious, like as universal as a physics book. It's not a bad deal. And so as a consequence, these books aren't mere museum pieces. They're living texts, they're subjects of teaching, debate, and inspiration for human generation. The profound impact that the series has had thus far, I believe, has been to challenge and expand the very notion of what constitutes the classics. When I was a PhD student, I was at a dinner with my now friend and then professor, Greg Nunn, who is a very well-known classicist at Harvard Society of Scholars. And I asked him, Greg, why is it that my mother tongue, the old form of Kannada, why is that not a classic that you teach in your class? And Greg said to me, of course it's a classic, it's just we don't have the books. And so he said, oh, someone will do something about it. Yeah, it would be a first-rate classic like everything else. And so it's just a matter of access. And I really hope that we will change. For far too long, the term classics has been synonymous with Greek and Latin texts, which form the basis for civilization identity of the West. But through MCLI, India and more broadly South Asia's literary traditions have taken the rightful place in the global discourse on classical literature. Our mission, however, goes far beyond academia. These books are not just for scholars in ivory towers. They're for everyone. They're for anybody who's curious about the vast, rich tapestry of Indian history and culture. When we began this journey more than 10 years ago, I sat down with Sharmila, who's as much a founder of this as anybody could be. And we debated, and I said, Sharmila, we should have two goals that we both agreed on. The first goal is to encourage the world to engage with Indian classics. And the second goal was to inspire Indians to celebrate their own literary heritage, or our own literary heritage. I think we made reasonable progress on the first goal, though there's so much more to do. Not a month goes by when I have not heard in the last 10 years from several faculty, most of whom I do not know, at various universities. Many of these universities I look up for the first time, writing to me, talking about how they're using these books in their classrooms. And that's fantastic. That's a certain global presence. But I think we have a long way to go with regards to our second goal, that is getting Indians, us Indians, to engage with our texts. We must bring these texts closer to Indian readers, ensuring that we have a personal connection to the heritage that we represent. For me, this is the most critical measure of success of this initiative. And in fact, without this, I'm not sure that we can claim we would have done anything meaningful. This is very important because I think in some sense, I and many others in this room, and certainly our children, represent a generation or a few generations of Indians who can name Shakespeare's plays, who can recite lines, word line by line, of poetry or whatever, Hamlet and so on and so forth. We can tell you to strive to seek, never to find, never to yield we can't really tell what those things mean to us in a sense. We study these things, we read them, we tested on them, we memorized them, and we understand it, but we never read a single, not one single reading class. Perhaps this is more an artifact of urban education, but it's a reality nonetheless, that I think afflicts millions of Indians. And hence I dream of a future where Indian children, and maybe even adults, will grow up cherishing these stories, while they see that culture is part of their daily lives, not just their history. And so as we celebrate this 10-year milestone, I'm reminded that there's one profound truth, that these books will outlive every one of us, and that they're not just artifacts of history, but they're bridges to our past, a connection to the thoughts, emotions, and aspirations of those who came before us. One of the key factors in starting this series was to say, we want to do things that will outlive us, and so we agreed on a 100-year mission. And so we're roughly 10 not precisely 10% of the year. And in this mission, our role is very clear, is to be caretakers. When I say our role, I mean everybody here in this room and beyond, to be caretakers of these tiny steps, to provide them shade and protection so that they may thrive. These books pretty much can't protect themselves. There's no way in the market. If there were, you wouldn't need anyone to put in money. People would buy them and read them. And so it's left to us to spread the word, to help people see value in them, and to engage in them. As the old saying goes, the society grows great when its people plant trees with shade they know they'll never see them. This is our role for the Murty Classical Library, to nurture and protect these works, knowing that their value will extend far beyond our own time on this earth. Through these books, we discover not only our history but our humanity. They help us find meaning, not just in who we are, but in who we can become. I'd like to thank brilliant translators, our large network of scholars, our editors who do a lot of work, and various champions of the project. There are several champions at the Harvard University Press, all departments who take part. George's leadership has been very critical. 8 of the 10 years, George has been leader for this series. And a very special mention to Shamila. Shamila is an undergraduate student at Harvard, did her PhD at Yale, was a professor of English at Harvard. Thankfully decided to be back and join the press and shepherded the local classical library. So when we were launching this series, and I met Shamila, this clear shade already done written Latin text. Therefore, should be a key ingredient for making the series come to life. And she continues to play a critical role. The one request perhaps I have for everybody in the room is, I realize the only way culture survives is not just by reading, but by living. And so therefore these books are not meant to be just kept on our shelves, or to be celebrated once in every 10 years. I urge and request everybody here to understand the word, buy the books. We don't make any money off of them. But more importantly, engage in the books, read the books, gift the books, share ideas with people, that can learn from the books and keep them alive. I want to end by asking you the question that many people have been asking me as they brought closer to this. Okay, so carry down 90 to go. So where do we go from here? And I thought I'll mention a challenge that we anticipate, and we can see what's coming going forward. How do we keep this alive for 90 years? Shamila and I talked about this. Obviously, we will not be around for those 90 years. And so this is what we've been discussing, which is, over the last 10 years, we've been fortunate to work with exceptional network of scholars dedicated to preserving and translating these Indian classical languages. However, I worry that sustaining this network will become increasingly difficult. As society shifts, generations of great scholars are being replaced by English-speaking professionals like myself and many people in the room, that is engineers, lawyers, and doctors, but far fewer experts to interpret these languages. Our classical languages shaped over centuries or millennia are losing their stewards. This is a societal problem. I firmly believe that while culture is evolutionary, it takes a long time to build culture. Loss of this culture is an evolution. And so this raises a pressing question. Okay, if you want to do this for at least another 9 years, how can we continue to produce high-quality translations at scale in years to come? And for this, I believe MCLI must add to its existing mission. Today it's focused on preserving and translating texts in custom languages, but I think we must now attempt to use these very texts that it produces to preserve the entire custom language itself. So it's no longer good enough to preserve the true text, we need to preserve the language itself. How do we do this? We are not in favor of the season of language models. But I think they offer a promising path, and here's why. And it's a slightly different perspective than what we would read about in the popular press. When trained on existing and future MCLI translations, these models can learn the linguistic nuances and structure of classical texts, and capturing an essence that might otherwise be lost. But to put it differently, these models can serve as a storehouse of linguistic essence for the language. I'm not suggesting that a model can replace the depth of human scholarship. I'm not suggesting that. But it can serve as an insurance policy for future generations in case we run out of scholars. In certain languages, we actually find it very difficult. They can store and interpret aspects of these languages, ensuring that even as a pool of scholars, that the knowledge of the language in some shape or form remains accessible. MCLI is in a prime position to make this a reality. Our hosts are born digital, and they already are published in 2 languages, one on the left, one on the right. The format is easily digestible by machines. In essence, the future generation of MCLI will also, in part, produce material to train models with the goal of preserving the beauty, depth, and essence of Indian classical languages. Why is this so critical? Because we have a numbers problem. MCLI ranks amongst the largest active translation efforts planning. I believe the only larger one previously was by UNESCO, which was done over 40 years and even a few millions of texts. But in our case, let's say we even get to the finish line in 100 years. In 100 years, best guess, okay, even if today we do 3 to 5 volumes a year, let's say we do 10 volumes a year, best effort would be 1,000 volumes in 100 years. Even if I'm wrong by a factor of 10 multiplied by 10, we have 10,000 volumes. But the problem is in these 14 languages, in the denominator, we have millions of texts. So we divide 10,000 by millions, the answer is 0. So we barely know what we mean. And that is the root problem. It is no longer just sufficient to translate these texts, it is necessary. There is some study beauty, there is some value, and so on. But there are millions more that will go untranslated. And that is why being able to use these texts, the efforts of our scholars, the expertise of our scholars, and training models, and essentially storing the essence of these languages in models will become critical for interpreting the millions of untranslated texts to whom one day need to. Or else we just have 1,000 books that will be read in all the other millions will disappear. Of course, again, no model can replace the expertise and reputation of our translators. It is impossible to replicate a half century of Professor Vanwala Vishnathan's expertise in Canada, or Professor Indra Peterson's expertise, or Professor Chris Shackle's expertise in mastery in Punjabi. But as a long-term solution, these models would serve as an insurance policy, ensuring future generations will gain access to vastly wealth of India's classical languages. This, I hope, is how MCLI can transform over the next 10 years. We are on a 100-year mission, and we just completed the first decade. With your support, we will keep these high machines running for future generations.